It's Joel and Andy on the Stay Hungry podcast. Today we're going to be talking about making an impact. Andy, how you doing?
Very cool. Still missing the music. Can't wait.
Very cool.
But not long. Did I start with a very again?
And you said cool. How are you doing?
As well.
Very cool. Get over yourself.
I'm cool, despite the lockdown here.
That's the coolest part.
I was did a run yesterday morning and it was misty, so I've got one of those chest lights. So I came back in and went into my eldest daughter's room. She goes, "What are you wearing?" I said, "It's like my Iron Man light." She goes, "No, it's your loser light." And I was like, "Yeah." So you'll never be cool in the eyes of your children, but that's okay.
You can't even threaten her with grinding because she's literally permanently grinded anyway through lockdown. So
I'll just switch the internet off. That's the best deterrent ever. That will make an impact.
Turn the electric off at the switchboard. In my day, we had candles.
Back in the days of the dinosaurs. Well, I've got this BT mesh Wi-Fi thing. So no matter where you are in the house, your device will connect to the nearest hub. But you can also see what devices are connected to each hub and basically turn them on and off. So it's given me total control over who has access to the internet. So they got to watch their step.
Yeah, not moving in with you. Bloody hell.
Well, so making an impact then. What are we talking about? And who's it for?
I guess it's for business owners, and I mean any entrepreneur, business owner, small business owner, whatever, however you describe yourself. You probably had every intention of making an impact when you started out. So that might be making an impact in your industry, making an impact with your product, making an impact with your campaign, or making a difference, like literally making a difference to society. So employing people, or you might have set up a charity organization or a fundraiser, all these things. But generally, I think that the ego of a business owner, there has an element of making an impact about it. You want to make your mark on the world.
Okay. And do you think so? If we look at small to medium-sized businesses, I don't know, let's say an accountant. I'm an accountant. Yeah. I work for an accountancy firm. I want to set up my own practice, and I'll just do accountancy type stuff with, maybe a new website and some stationery. But they don't even think about standing out against all those other accountants out there. And I suppose once in a while there is a disruptor in every category, but it's probably something that a lot of business owners don't even think about, whether they are starting out on their own or they're 5 years down the line and they do what they do. Business is good, but all it takes is a couple of disruptors or someone with a bigger budget than you to open up round the corner. And suddenly you realise that maybe you don't stand out enough.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to give it like an obvious example that everybody would have heard of, Hoover really, really dominated the vacuum cleaner market for a long time, so much so that in this country, a lot of people refer to their vacuum cleaner as a Hoover, even if it's not a Hoover. And then Dyson came along and completely turned the market on its head. And I don't think Hoover saw that coming.
So, think about it now. Actually, what do I say? Do I say hoovering or vacuuming? Probably do say vacuuming now, whereas, I know what you mean. Same as Americans call tissues Kleenex, don't they? Because of the Kleenex brand. I mean, I don't even know if Hoover's still going, to be honest. I'm sure they are. But
well, yeah, it's like marker pens are Sharpies in America, aren't they?
But now, so Dyson, was it G-Tech, Shark? I mean, there's quite a few. I think our Hoover, got to be honest, not the gadget I'm most familiar with, put it that way. I think it's a Shark or something, but it's cordless. It charges really quick, does a great job. And there's quite a few people nibbling away at, I guess, Hoover's slice of the pie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they were probably a leading brand, and now they're probably one of the mid-level brands in that marketplace. So
what do you think? You think it's easy when you are dominant to get complacent about stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you think of a number of brands that have done that: Marks and Spencers, Hoover, Woolworths, Toys R Us. I mean, Toys R Us, surely, I think we've talked about them on the podcast before, but surely they were in the best position to dominate the online toy market because they literally had warehouses full of toys. But they rested on their laurels, and look what happened.
So how do you, because obviously, you can make an impact straight away. You can launch a business and make a great impact. You can have like a disruptive ad campaign to make an impact. But
Yeah.
I guess we're also talking about continually standing out, because there's a lot, let's face it, there's a hell of a lot of noise out there at the moment, isn't there? And if you're in a competitive marketplace, if you're an accountant, a lawyer, a hairdresser, I don't know, something where there's just basically shed loads of you in the same town, you've got to be different. I know we talked about that before, but it's all about, like I say, it's all about making impact so people remember you, and they don't need you now, but I don't know, in 2 months' time when they do need your type of product or service, you want to be front of their mind, not so and so down the road.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on a local level, and we've used this example before, we work with an accountant that is certainly disruptive in their marketplace. And we knew that they had a different kind of slant on things when they started talking to us about their plans, that they were going to launch their own beer, that they were going to hire a cinema for Christmas, the kind of things that make your ears prick up and think, well, I've known a lot of accountants in my time. If you go to a networking club, half the room's accountants, and nobody has ever said anything like this to me before. And yet it doesn't sound ridiculous. It doesn't sound like you're just doing it to be quirky. There's substance to it.
Yeah, so yeah, can't be. It's got to have both the style and the substance, and like you say, it's got to be genuine as well. Because we talked earlier, didn't we, about gimmicks, and how a gimmick still needs substance underneath it. You still need to deliver. And maybe that's the fear that you're doing something that is impactful. It's a bit disruptive. I think probably a lot of business owners do have a fear of, well, I want people to know who I am, but I don't want to be too loud, too in your face. I don't want to attract any potential trouble. What if someone criticised me? And fear? I mean, something else we talk about a lot, isn't it? Because do you think that's something that holds a lot of business owners back when it comes to making their marketing more memorable?
Yeah, I think so. I think one is trying to please too many people. So you're so afraid of upsetting people who might buy from you, you forget to excite the people that will buy from you. And I mean, that's a mindset shift for most business owners, and I've been there. I'm not ashamed to say that I get, it's particularly in Britain, your default position is, I better not do that, it might upset someone. But never do you think, but if I do it, think of all the people it will make happy. You kind of go at it from a pessimistic angle, just naturally, and actually you're not really, unless you're doing something ridiculous, you're not really upsetting people. They're not upset. They're just not going to buy from you. And that's fine, because you're going to end up with a lot more purchases from the people that were more likely to buy from you anyway.
Yeah, it's making a stand, isn't it? But like you say, we understand that fear. And there are some business owners that it's literally too stressful for them to deal with. They couldn't think of anything worse than being sat with their loved one watching telly on a Friday night, but their phone keeps beeping with comments on a LinkedIn post they did that was maybe a bit loud, a bit controversial, whatever, and it would appeal to people that buy off them, but also will antagonize a lot of the keyboard warriors, the trolls out there, who, to be honest, have got nothing better to do on a Friday night than just cause some trouble.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even, obviously you stay, well, our advice to our clients is always stay away from the usual, race, religion, politics and everything. But sometimes even, what's an example? An example is, I don't know, you use, I might have mentioned this before, you would do a nice motivational quote, for example, and it's from Nelson Mandela, who, let's face it, has done some pretty good stuff in the world, but someone pops up talking about his alleged terrorist past, and then someone else comments on that and blah, and you're like, fucking hell, was it really worth it?
Yeah.
So like you say, you can be so safe and extreme, you'll end up being so vanilla-like, you just won't be memorable enough, and perhaps, you definitely won't make the sales you want to make.
Yeah, I mean, you can have the best product or service in the world, and something a lot of business owners get stuck on is they know that their service levels are excellent, or they know that their product is made from the best materials, or the production facility is amazing. And so they think that's what's going to make the impact. But the problem is you'll never make impact with those things if nobody knows about it.
And it's also very all these massive plus points of a business, but you've got to know how to convey that. So it's all about the customer. So like you say, it's sourced from the cleanest waters ever, or whatever your product or service might be. It's got to be spun. It's got to be written in a way that it's all about this is the end benefit. Mm-hmm. So I recently did an email out to all our sort of followers and subscribers about the difference in COVID messaging between the UK and New Zealand. Now, this ain't knocking the UK. The UK government has done a lot of the right things. Look at the vaccination programs, and so certainly, I just said stay away from politics. But the example I used was the message from the UK government about hand sanitisation was wash your hands. Whereas in New Zealand, that, to be honest, had a really good, obviously positive reaction to the COVID situation. So saying wash your hands, their message was washing your hands kills the virus. Yeah. And there's a massive difference in those two things. The goal is the same, obviously killing the virus, but on the one hand, you're just directly telling someone to do something with no clear benefit. So you know why you need to wash your hands, but you've got to almost assume that the person you're talking to, the person who's going to be most likely to buy for you, doesn't. So you've got all these benefits. You've got to make sure you position them in a memorable way, so they do stand out, they do make an impact, but they also understand what's in it for them.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about that from a psychological point of view, let's say you go for a 2-mile walk with your dog in the morning, and you get home. Some people would think, well, I haven't touched anything, so I don't need to wash my hands, and that's missing the point. Well, you've been somewhere, you've been exposed to an external environment that isn't your home, and so the simple instruction, wash your hands, isn't enough.
Yeah, it's stuff that, I mean, I guess we learned about this years ago, but we learned about it by learning about it. You listen, you work with the right people, you consume the right media, and whether it's mindset or marketing, all that information is out there. And but it all starts with you. You have to be comfortable to perhaps do what your competitors won't do. Yeah. And maybe that's just about being an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur, you have to make some sacrifices that the average Joe who wants an employed life, which is absolutely fine. They want the security of a monthly wage check, which again is fine. They're not going to take the risks that you are, but that means you do need to take those risks. Otherwise, you may as well just go and take that monthly wage check and enjoy yourself.
That's what makes me really sad is we meet so many businesses that are on the, I guess most businesses you bump into are kind of on the brink of failure. They are scraping by, or they're very hand to mouth. And, near enough all business owners have been there. But the biggest risk those people ever took was going self-employed in the first place, starting their own business. Mm-hmm. So when I'm talking to them and saying, look, what we're going to do to make an impact here, or do you think we need to use bolder language, or perhaps your imagery could be more striking? And they're like, oh, hang on. That's a really emotionally difficult conversation, because, well, it's your life on the line. This is your livelihood, and you've taken the big risk already. So why can't we push these buttons now?
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, maybe half the business owners we speak to, their main way of marketing themselves is word of mouth. So like you say, they've taken this massive leap, and to work for themselves and provide for their family, to put money aside into pensions or whatever it might be, a huge risk. But then they're willing to put that on the line in the hope that, in the hands of other people, they're going to hope that people go out there and say great things about them. And as we've talked about many a time, word of mouth is the best form of advertising, certainly not denying that. But to rely on that big time, in fact, some business owners rely on that solely. That is the only way they market themselves, is word of mouth. Or word of mouth, best form of advertising, Joel. It's all I've needed for 50 years. for 50 years, you've been working 70 hours a week and you're probably just going to keel over any day. It's not sustainable and scalable.
And it's quite scary. Word of mouth is a scary form of marketing because you are guilty by association with word of mouth. So there's been plenty of people who've said nice things about me in the past, believe it or not.
Your mother again?
Well, maybe. She could be a prime candidate for this, actually. They're the sort of people that you don't necessarily want to be saying nice things about you, because if that person thinks you're nice, you're getting judged by their standards.
Okay.
And that's not a good business model. If obviously your very best clients are the only people sharing the joy, that's fine. But chances are you've got clients that you find a pain in the ass, and then they're telling all their mates about you. Is that the sort of business you want?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it's just I understand the logic behind word of mouth. It's lovely. It doesn't cost me anything, although obviously it will always cost you in terms of time and properly looking after your customers so they do refer you. And I understand the logic behind that, but it's out of your control. It could be, like you say, the kind of person who, to be honest, you'd rather he or she didn't publicly put their name and say how great you are because of the potential bad reference that might have on you. But you are solely responsible whether by and large, you are solely responsible whether your business succeeds or fails. And if you're relying on something like word of mouth or whatever form of marketing it might be, one form of marketing, and that one form of marketing goes tits up and your business collapses, it's your fault. You can't turn around and say, oh, it's my customers. They stopped talking about me, or they didn't talk about enough people, or it's the council for putting car parking charges up, or it's because so-and-so opened up over the corner and because he employs people from abroad, he can undercut me on price, blah, blah, blah. You've got to take that responsibility. Extreme ownership, which is funny enough, the book I'm reading at the moment.
Really? I mean, I've been talking to a client about this recently. How can they get more referrals? And I had to go through, well, how do you want to make impact with that? And they said, well, I want to get more work like this. Okay. I said, well, only approach the clients that fit that criteria. And then the way to talk through that is to say, look, really enjoyed working on your project, and I'd like to work with more people like you. Who do you know? That's very different than relying on the kind of back of the newspaper to then spread the message with, all the locals type marketing.
Yeah. Have you done a podcast on word of mouth? Probably covered it in every podcast, but it's so important because a lot of people think it is the way forward. They don't think about, I suppose, what makes for a good referral. So somebody to go and post on your Facebook page to say, oh, Andy and Joel were great. Nice one, lads. Cheers. That's lovely. And thank you very much. But it's not going to do anything for my business. Ideally, you want your referral saying, well, this is this is what I was struggling with before. Andy and Joel just work their magic. Don't even know what they did, but bloody hell, look at the sales I'm coming in now. And this is the effect it's had on me, how I'm feeling now, how I can sleep better, like whatever it might be. You want, I guess, some kind of control over that again. I'm saying about the word control a lot, but again, it's all down to you. And business owners, typically speaking, let's face it, we're control freaks. But it's not just about controlling things and tasks. It's about controlling your own mindset and taking acknowledgement that it's down to you. And if you're not happy with the results, you need to do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about what making an impact is. We've talked about why business owners should care about it. We've talked about, I guess, why so few businesses actually genuinely do make an impact and what holds them back. How do you make an impact? What have you seen where people have really, really made their mark?
I think there are a lot of, we've helped launch a few businesses recently, and obviously that's a golden opportunity to get out there and make an impact, to get it right from day one, because it's again, when we start up our own businesses donkeys years ago, not much money, you have to hustle and do whatever it takes to get the money coming in. But I guess if I could go back, it would be about finding that money, that investment somehow to launch properly, and because it's easier to get things right from the start than to try and do it later on. So I don't know, let's say you employ your mate's daughter who's done a bit of graphic design to design you a brand new logo for your brand new business, and you go cheap and cheerful, but then like 2 years later you realize, well, actually that is a bit shit, I need to do something about that. And then you have to go through a rebrand, and then you have to make sure no one thinks your business has gone pear-shaped and you're phoenixing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's easy to get it right. So if you're launching a business, that's just obviously a golden opportunity to make a positive impact between the right website, the right ad campaign, PR. Depending whether you're local, national, whatever, whether it's working with influencers who complement your brand. I wouldn't say, I was going to say that's easy to do, but I'd say launch a brand to make an impact. Yeah, to be honest, it is pretty easy to do. When you're further on down the line, I think, especially if you're struggling from a fear point of view, is to do things a bit gradually, to start making an impact slowly, something you're comfortable with, but maybe you I don't know, you're business to business, and LinkedIn is something you do now and then. You need to write, okay, a LinkedIn strategy. I need to start posting more regularly. I need to start using my brand colors, and do I even have brand guidelines? So I start getting some consistency in how my posts look and feel, because that's making an impact, and almost on the subliminal level, the unconscious level, to start getting, oh, right, okay. Because so many people, I think, don't appreciate, and to be honest, it wasn't really until I started working with you all those years ago, understood the importance of brand consistency, because obviously that leads to familiarity, which leads to trust. And I think there's still quite a few business owners out there who just use whatever colors they feel like it that day, whatever fonts they feel like it. And then, of course, you ask who that company is, and no one really has a clue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so in terms of making impact, I'd say if you're worried, you think we're just talking about just suddenly being loud and vulgar and vomiting everywhere. That's not what we're saying at all. But to do things gradually, if you're an established business, in terms of frequency, in terms of the posts you do, but also, it does come down to money, Joel. It's hard to make an impact without putting your hand in your pocket. And with certain ad platforms these days, you can make an impact bloody quickly. Just do it right. You don't. We see a lot of people waste money. Facebook ads, it's a load of crap. It's like, no, they aren't. It's because you did it wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of our remarketing makes an impact, and I know it makes an impact because we've had a couple of emails where people have emailed to say, bloody hell, I'm sick of seeing your adverts. You must spend an absolute fortune on Google. Like, well, we do spend a considerable sum on Google, but probably not as much as you think we do. And it's clearly having the desired effect because you noticed it.
Yeah, and who was that lady who said not sure she wants to work with us because we were everywhere? And it's like, you told me yesterday that not enough people know who you are.
Yeah.
And the fact that you see us everywhere is worrying you.
That's an interesting thing in the UK, isn't it? Subtlety is considered an art form, and they don't have that in America. It's not considered graceful to kind of not shout about your benefits as such. Where
British, is it, Josh? Not British.
Yeah, it's just not British. So. Yeah, we've had that a couple of times where people say, "Oh, I remember what you were like 10 years ago," and it just doesn't feel like you now. And it's like, well, no, I'm not making any claims that aren't true. I'm not saying anything that I can't do. It's just now I've realised I've got the confidence to say it, both personally on a mindset level and on a business level. I'll back up what I'm saying, and I want to work with business owners that appreciate that. If you want a nice, gentle campaign that's warm and soothing and holds your hand and nobody pays a blind bit of notice to, fine, but I can't sell you that because that's morally corrupt. Oof.
Yeah, it's like you say, people, lots of business owners want to develop and grow as a person, and your brand will develop and grow accordingly. I remember reading, I can't remember which of his books it was now, but it's a bit in the Ant Middleton book where, he's done his time in the Marines and he's done his time in the SAS. Hey?
You seen he's been chucked off SAS? Who dares wins?
I saw him post on Insta last night saying he's made the decision to leave. Is it not his decision?
No.
What happened then?
Well, obviously last year he made a faux pas in terms of saying, carry on with your lives as normal. I'm big and strong, and COVID's not.
He's apologised quite a lot about that, hasn't he?
Yeah, and then he made another faux pas. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't good. But anyway, Channel 4 have released a statement saying our values don't align, and we'll no longer be working together. So.
Oh dear. Yeah, because in one of his books, I guess it's been a revised, updated edition. There's like an extra chapter talking about how he got it wrong when COVID came out, because he said if he'd taken the time to fully research and then understand the severity of the situation, he of course wouldn't have made those comments. And right.
Oh yeah.
Oh right. Well, no point in quoting that now. But
he called Black Lives Matter protesters absolute scum, apparently. So.
Ideal. Why are they bidding him now?
Not ideal. Well,
a long time ago, wasn't it?
Well, I guess the show's about to go back to filming, isn't it, or something? I know one of the other chaps has been dropped from it as well. So.
Oh right.
The guy that lives locally to us. So.
Oh goodness me! Right. Okay. Oh, no point me
anyway,
Middleton story now then.
Well, he's got a good book. Come on, let's hear it.
Yeah, no. His point was he met up with some old army mates who he hadn't seen for like 10 years, and basically they were still wanting to just get really, really pissed, and he didn't, and the conversation quickly got a bit nasty and saying, "God, you've changed," and he's like, "Well, it's been 8 years, so I bloody hope so."
Yeah.
And they saw that as a bad thing. He saw that as a good thing. And I know we're not the same people as when start up in business, but yeah, I mean, I think our core principles are the same. But how we conduct our business, we do things that, don't get me wrong, get us uncomfortable, get us out of our comfort zone, to the point of proper stress sometimes, but not too much. I mean, some of the stresses that other businesses have had during COVID, I can't even imagine how they've coped, but they have done. But the stresses we put ourselves under, it's to grow our business, to protect our families, to protect our employees. We're not doing it for like shits and giggles. We're doing it to look after the people around us. We're proud of the fact that we didn't have to like fully furlough everyone. We're proud of the fact that we employ locally. I'm sure there is lots of work we could outsource to goodness knows where, but we employ and keep the money in the local economy. But yeah, that involves getting out of your comfort zone. And
it's tricky, that, isn't it? You sort of touched on it there, that I definitely do bump into people who tell me I've changed, and some of them mean it in a positive way and some of them mean it in a negative way. And certainly, and you've got these characteristics too, probably while we're business partners, but I was very, very keen to help people when I started in business, and not necessarily on a business level. I just wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is a bit like not wanting to upset anyone or wanting to be liked by everybody is you end up trying to help so many people, you end up helping no one, particularly not yourself or your family. And now you and I have conversations behind closed doors where if there is a cause we really, really want to help and really feel we can have an impact with, we would, of course, help it, but we should always check with each other first, because you can very quickly slip into that, oh, bloody hell, particularly at the moment, bloody hell, they're struggling. What can we do to help? Well, hang on. Should we help? And if you helping other people is taking away from your positive impact on the world, then is that a good thing? And that's a really, really tricky, but I would say common mindset thing for business owners.
Yeah, totally agree. We've and lots of other businesses, I'm sure, have helped other people to the point of exhaustion. Whether it's not just whether it's helping someone for nothing, whether it's trying to help every charity around, whether it's not just over-servicing a client and going the extra mile, which we thoroughly endorse, go the extra mile, because none of your competitors will. But there's a difference in going the extra mile and running a bloody marathon. And if you're there severely over-servicing every single client because you worry they might leave or competitive over, whatever it might be, it could get too much for you. And some people can cope with loads of stress, and some people thrive on it, but other people can't. And, you know, for some people, just even a few negative comments on social media can make them rethink whether entrepreneurship is for them or not, which is obviously a crying shame. But like you say, if you try and help everyone, there's a danger you'll help no one. And almost like the phrase charity begins at home, you've got to look after yourself and those around you first. And it just trying to help everyone, whether that's just running at such a low cost, so that means you get more business in, but again, it's not scalable.
Yeah.
And that scalability is something that's talked about a lot now, but it certainly wasn't a few years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, a good way of making an impact is having a scalable business model, isn't it? Because you could scale it to the point where it makes it could be a dent in the economy in your village. It could be a dent in the economy in your county. It could be a dent in the economy in your country. But if you're one of those people, I mean, probably 90% of businesses where you flex depending on the scenarios to the point of your own detriment. So, I don't know, let's say a carpenter and joiner goes to an old lady's house and she just looks like she hasn't got 2 pennies to rub together, so he does the windows at cost. Well, who's that benefiting in the long term? Because you're just going to end up exhausted. You haven't earned any money. That little old lady probably should have got support from her family to sort that situation out, or whatever, however it pans out. I mean, maybe that's a bad example. I sound cruel, but
no, and then the little old lady refers you to her friends and tells them you're amazing because you did it for such a low cost. Her friends expect you to do it at that same low cost, and that's what you become known for. Call Carl the carpenter because he's cheap as chips, and it's like, well, that's not. I was just trying to help this little old lady.
That's creepy. My dad's called Carl, and he was indeed a carpenter.
So, I literally didn't know that.
No, I know you didn't.
That's terrible. I just always know him as Joel's dad.
Yeah. And Carl with a C as well, so it's proper alliteration. So
my dad was Sam, and he was a doctor, and so that doesn't work at all.
No.
Should have been Dave.
Dave the doctor.
He did try go for a surgeon once, so that would have worked. Sam the surgeon.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, see, I mean, I just couldn't imagine that. So a guy I used to go to school with, he's a cardiovascular surgeon.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, don't know how you do it. You know, you're managing people's social media, and the pressure of that. I'm like, oh my God, you're in theatre, like saving people's lives, and it's weird, isn't it? Like for me and you, I'm not saying it's water off a duck's back, but if someone like makes some twatty remark on social media, it doesn't really bother us. But we know there are some people who do really get affected by that. So it's all relative, and to have that honesty with yourself, and to if you think, well, I need to make an impact, so I know I need to be loud or post more often, whatever it might be. Need to get an ad campaign running. I know I need to do it. I'm uncomfortable about it, so I need to do something to make me more comfortable about it. And at the moment, we're probably talking to business owners as much about mindset as we are about marketing, because you can have the best product and the best marketing in the world. If you haven't got the mindset to deploy it to 100%, then it ain't going to work for you like it should.
Yeah, it's really tricky. That I had a client review on Friday, and we were talking about loads of things, and their exact comment was, "Bloody hell, this is like a coaching session."
Send them the invoice.
Well, yeah, it all knits together, doesn't it? If they do believe in what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, but they have their doubts, as do all business owners, and they needed me to sit there and kind of G them up a little bit and say, well, look at what you've achieved considering everything that's happened in the last year. And as it panned out, they've grown another 20%. So they were kind of overlooking that based on the fact that they hadn't grown as much as they had in the year previously, sort of thing. And
yeah, it's amazing. Imposter syndrome is massive at the moment. I mean, that could be a COVID thing, I don't know. But how many successful, and I mean by all interpretations of the world, financially, emotionally, how successful some business people we speak to are, but the doubts they have in their own ability, even though they've been in their industry for 30 years, sometimes all it takes is some gobby competitor to come along and think, oh God, he or she knows their stuff. And it's like, no, I know them. They know bugger all. They're just pretty loud and out there and quite happy to get in front of enough people. And we see this every day, I suppose, don't we? Oh, right. Oh, he looks cool. She looks cool. Oh, it sounds like they know lots about web design. And then you actually find out about some of the basic errors that to be honest, our apprentice or any of our junior staff wouldn't make. And it's like, God, that's strange. Oh, imposter syndrome. There's another podcast.
Well, yeah, I think we've covered that a few times, haven't we? It comes up a lot.
Well, we're in a business mentorship group, and a couple of dozen people, and there's been times, I suppose, in the past year, where pretty much everyone has been okay to admit that they've struggled, and yeah, it's difficult. It ain't well. I suppose if it that easy, everyone would be running their own business. But,
yeah.
But you have to be, like you said at the beginning, that front of mind. It's like not everyone's ready to buy now. They might not know you from Adam, but that doesn't mean, right, bollocks to them then. I'll contact them when they are ready somehow by magic. No, with the right messaging, how can you stay in front of them at a cost-effective level? So when they do need you, they, oh, right, who's that person I keep seeing everywhere? And if someone does get pissed off because you sent an email that caught them in the wrong frame of mind, or they're sick of seeing your ad or whatever, that's okay. They never would have bought off you anyway, or 1 out of 10 might. So focus on the other 9 who haven't got a problem with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a really interesting sort of part of business that particularly when you're early in business, if somebody inquires through your business but they're not quite ready to buy, you can quickly feel resentment. And actually, that's an opportunity. They're a lead. They're just not quite there yet. And that doesn't mean they're going to go buy from somebody else. It just means that they were doing their fact finding to find out where they're at. And actually, by retargeting that kind of person, you could be building a relationship for the future. And a lot of businesses burn their bridges way too soon on that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, retargeting is, I can't think of many instances moving forward where we'd accept a new client if they weren't prepared to run retargeting alongside straightforward targeting ad campaigns. But some of the business people we speak to, like, right, I know what you mean by retargeting now. Oh, I don't like it, or I don't know. And it's like nothing has changed. TV, 70s, 80s, 90s, whenever. No one ran an ad on TV once. Now, of course, they didn't know exactly who you were, but it's like, right, okay, let's say I want to run an ad in Coronation Street, right? Coronation Street has got, like most TV programs, a loyal audience. So if I show an ad on Monday's Coronation Street, on Wednesday, I'm probably going to be able to reach the same people and the same again on Friday. That's pretty much retargeting. You have some legs behind your campaign. Very rarely will, I suppose there are instances like, I know the Super Bowl, more about American football than I do, but the Super Bowl will be some massive ad, but afterwards there'll be some other kind of campaign running, whether it's TV, radio, Facebook, whatever, to back up that initial ad campaign that happened at half time or
yeah, it's a bit similar
But
to
do you know
the
about American football? Do you know how long? Well, I bet you will know this. Do you know how long an American football match is played for?
I've been to. Well, how long it's played for?
How long it's played for? As in, like start and stop, like a
I think it's
you soccer or
yeah. How many?
normal football? 45 minutes.
I think it's. I think it's 20
side.
minutes.
Yeah. So an American football game is 1 hour.
Yes, not 20 minutes. Sorry, yeah, it's 4 quarters of 15 minutes. Yeah, but it takes about 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought American football. It's like this bloody 5 hour thing. It's like, and Emma, or one of my girls said to me, "Do you know how long it's actually played for? Like 45 minutes each way, like in football." It's an hour. I couldn't believe that.
So do you know how much playing time there is in the average soccer match? So how much the ball's actually?
Oh, out of the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, God, I do know nothing about football, but I don't know. There's loads of stuff going on. 70 minutes.
52 minutes.
Wow. And what's the rest of the time? Rolling around on the ground, holding your knee because
supposedly
fairy landing on it.
Supposedly they play stoppage time, but I've no idea how they calculate that stoppage time because when they've done studies, it would be way longer. Where like in basketball, the clock stops when the ball goes out of play, and that's what happens in American football too. The clock stops. So
how long does basketball last for?
That's an hour as well. But is it? I don't know.
I mean, I keep thinking I should be interested in American football. I don't know, I'd probably rather watch rugby because in American football, every time you tackle, you stop, don't you?
Yeah.
It's
48 minutes a basketball game, so 4 12-minute quarters, but it normally takes about 2.5 hours for the game to pan out.
Well, we go to America, go to a basketball match. I'd be quite up for that.
Well, I went to Madison Square Garden to watch New York on Christmas Day. So beat that.
You're joking.
Do you not remember that?
Is that when your flight, the tellies weren't working?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that's right. That's yet another reason never to share a plane with you because something always goes wrong.
Yeah, I forgot about that one actually. Yeah,
you didn't get any money back or anything for that, did you?
No, nothing. No. So yeah. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of flights in New York with my kids and the telly's not working.
Yeah, daytime 8.5-hour flight where you're not tired is quite a period of time to try and fill if you haven't got some films to watch.
No, I was debating about whether the kids would like New York or whether that would just be like too much walking around for them.
It's an absolutely monstrous amount of walking.
Please tell me, did you go to the Ghostbusters fire station?
It had scaffolding and tarpaulin on it, but yeah, I made Hannah walk all the way across New York, and when we got there, it was covered in scaffolding and tarpaulin.
She must have appreciated the sentiment behind it, though.
Yeah, I mean, we saw like some of the buildings from Friends. We saw the block of flats that Sigourney Weaver lives in Ghostbusters. So
Central Park West or whatever.
Yeah. So we covered quite a bit of ground on that kind of thing.
What are we talking about this?
No idea. Oh, basketball, American football,
American football. Oh yeah, so ads. Ads in the American football break, half time, quarter time, whatever it's called. Yeah, so retargeting. It's obviously huge, but it's nothing really that new. You can just be you can be more targeted about who you're showing these ads to.
Yeah, the example you gave about Coronation Street. So in the 90s, I think it was the 90s, Coronation Street was sponsored by Cadbury's, and prior to every episode and at the end of every episode, they showed a chocolate version of Coronation Street, and there was like chocolate pigeons and stuff.
Yeah, top and tail.
Yeah, I vividly remember that my mum quite often had a little bar of dairy milk when she watched Coronation Street. So
there we go.
That was just a brilliant campaign, really, really well put together. So, like at the halfway point in Coronation Street, the national grid literally has to up its power output because of the amount of people that put the kettle on.
Yeah.
My mum would have a cup of tea and a couple of pieces of dairy milk, and it was just such a clever, impactful campaign.
Well, so I don't know what the minimum length of sponsoring a show or a TV channel is now, because I know Volvo seem to have been sponsoring Sky Atlantic for like donkey's years now.
Yeah.
And obviously I know Volvo doing lots of other marketing, but their share of the market, and certainly their perception of being like a safe car brand for old people, has drastically changed to the way they want it. You know, it's for younger people now. Some really cool models out there, and that's been a long haul process. And I suppose we're making an impact. Yes, you can make a big one-off impact, a big product launch, but it's about continually making an impact, maybe at a gentler level, but always remaining front of mind, which does mean that long-term commitment, which some people might struggle with. They might, I don't know, I'm going to do a big ad in the paper, and then they sit there waiting for the phone to ring. Now, if you're doing a big sale tomorrow, okay, that might work as long as it's, you know, the right paper and the right ad, of course. But, you know, chances are you're better off running a smaller ad over a series of nights or over a series of weeks.
Yeah.
And that's, but it's hard, you know. Let's face it, most of us business owners, we're impatient.
Yeah.
I want the phone to ring now. It's like, no, hold your horses. You need to work. You need to work to a strategy, which is a word I hate using, but I just can't think of a better one.
But speaking of sort of impact, I guess if you launched your business tomorrow, for example, and the phone rang with a customer within an hour, how good a customer would that customer be? Based on the fact that you've only just launched, chances are they're not going to be a great customer for you. So you really do have to think about the nurture of your impact as well. It's not just about starting with a massive bang and getting as many people through the door as you can, unless obviously you're like stack them high, stuff cheap. But
yeah, so you get in my dogs now. The reality of working from home. Don't even know who that is. I've got children in lessons. I've got dogs running riot.
Your dogs have woken up my dog now, so
It's all right. We'll be back in the office soon. But yeah, I mean, it's good. Oh, it's just on the tip of my tongue. Then the next point I was going to make. Bugger, it's gone now. It's all Lucky's fault as well. No, it's gone. You'll have to take over now.
Right. Okay. Well then, I suppose a good thing to cover off would be, so how can business owners apply this to their business? Where can they find opportunities to make an impact? I mean, things that come to mind for me, if you've got a really good charitable cause locally that you really, really believe in, then partnering up with them, making them your chosen charity for the year, running quiz nights, fundraisers, that kind of thing is a really nice way to make a local impact and get some brand awareness for you whilst doing a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're big fans of supporting charities or a charity. You know, we made a conscious decision of the type of charity we wanted to support. All charities, as far as I'm aware, do good work, and they all need money and they all need support. Can't be like this one's better than that one. But we chose to support a local charity because the research we showed said that they needed help. There's no funding coming in, and not that will be right for everyone. Again, a business out there that works across the UK might want to support a nationwide charity, but find something that's good for you. But to be honest, you know, you also want something out of it. You know, if you are going to be philanthropic, and that's great, and you're going to work 4 days a week because on the fifth day you're just going to devote your time, energy and money to work free of charge for a charity, that's one thing. But if we're talking about supporting a chosen charity, you always want one that's going to like, well, thank you and share your content and give you a plug now and then, because they're very aware that's how it works. And maybe some charities, like any organisation, get that better than others.
Yeah, for sure. I think another way I think you could make an impact, and we've seen a lot of this, is if your industry's become a bit stale or a bit stereotypical. So obviously we mentioned accountants before.
I want to say.
But there's loads of examples of this, isn't there? Like I think if you run a plumbing business and you show up on time, you charge what you quote, and you regularly do videos on social media showcasing your work and testimonials from your customers, you're probably ahead of 99% of other plumbers out there. Now, that's no kind of dig at plumbing, because I could take what I just said and apply it to nearly any industry.
No, we've done some consultancy for a painter and decorator. I mean, look, I'm not saying it was easy pickings, but we gave him some advice and some strategy on stuff that, 9 out of 10 of your competitors aren't doing this, and he was almost surprised at sort of how easy it was. It got him out of his comfort zone a bit. Let's face it, doing a video and before and afters, and asking customers for video testimonials, all this kind of stuff. But it was stuff that, for whatever reason, the majority of painters and decorators in his area weren't doing. So straight away, he was making an impact by being different.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of other ways you can make an impact off the cuff, because we don't do enough preparation for this bloody podcast.
Yeah, okay. We're back in the office soon. It's, yeah, I mean, I think there are some dangers. I think you can get too eager and maybe perhaps make too much of an impact in a bad way, like a business that never really posts anything and suddenly they're just vomiting all over their social media everywhere with the wrong kind of content. There's no strategy behind it. That's a quick way to piss people off, because frequency is important, but it isn't just a case of posting more is better. It's really sitting down and thinking about, okay, well, I know I need to get in front of more people. This is my budget. What is the best way to do that? And you want to make an impact for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly that. The difference between impact and noise, and
because there's a lot. Because here's one: video is important. It's important for pretty much every business we help. But some people aren't that good at video. They're not willing to learn and prepare on how to make video work better for them. But they're aware that there is this pressure to be on video. So, right, everyone keeps saying I need to be on video, so I'll do a video. And they just do all these videos that are frankly shit. And unfortunately, the last people you want to ask for advice and feedback is your friends and family. And to be honest, well-meaning people in your business circle. Because let's face it, people who like you are going to say nice things about you. Rarely will someone take you to one side and, pop you a direct message on LinkedIn saying, that video you did, well, did you know that you did this, or did you know that this happened? It just doesn't happen. So Joel, just done a video, a bit nervous, my first one. Oh, what do you think? Guess what? Everyone will comment on that post saying, oh, Andy, you're brilliant. Oh, you're and okay, that's lovely. It gives me a nice cuddle, but does that make the boat go faster? Will that make? No, I'll simply do the same kind of video the next time, because there's no constructive feedback to work off.
Yeah.
So seek unbiased advice if you're considering launching some kind of campaign, especially if it involves video, because of course we're not video experts, but pretty handy in front of the camera now, because we took bloody hours learning, researching, filming, reshooting, editing, reshooting again, buying lights. It is a big investment, certainly in time.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that too negative to say? It's like getting it right, because we talked about the benefits of making an impact, but maybe it's about making sure you make the right impact. Yeah, because some people out there are just everywhere saying the wrong stuff, and it's a bit painful.
Yeah, I think there's multiple ways to apply it to your business, and you've got to look at you've got to look at what impact you make, but you've got to look at what results you want. And the result might be to have more staff buy in, fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or the result might be to have more sales, or the result might be to solidify your positioning in the local marketplace. So that might be, I don't know, making a big song and dance at an expo, or sponsoring a local charity, or sponsoring a local event. But whatever it is, are you going to have that positive outcome? And if the answer is no, and you're just making noise, or the negatives outweigh the positives, then don't do it.
Yeah. There is. I mean, maybe obviously we're partly to blame for that. That's the right phrase. You've got marketers out there sharing advice about, this is what you need to be doing. But I think some people take it literally and don't do their research first, or because obviously some will use marketers such as ourselves. That's great, cheap plug there. Others they go and research the internet, but obviously you're awash. You can't get away from marketing gurus and video marketing experts and social media ninjas and rock stars and Jedi. So who do you listen to? Because you got some really different ones out there, but it's like you've got to find a few that you like and have a commonality between them, and at some point take that punt. But if you're following people who are literally at total different ends of the spectrum, one saying it's black, one saying it's white, you can't amalgamate them and you end up the grey bloke or lady in the middle.
For sure.
And that is what you said, like at the beginning of this podcast, about trying to appeal to everyone. And that is maybe the best starting point to realise, okay, well, I'm not going to deliberately antagonise anyone, but these are the people who are most likely to buy off me. I've got to look after them first. This is where they consume their media. This is what they're interested in. This is the kind of language they use. Marry that with the language I use, my brand consistency. Need to look at my budgets. What kind of ad campaign can I do to get in front of them and to stay in front of them? And for others, it could be as simple as having some great offers. And we haven't talked about hooks and offers and giveaways and lead magnets. There are just so many different ways you can do something that other people aren't doing. Because believe me, writing and designing a 8-page PDF, the top ways to check your pipes in winter, coming back to the plumber guy, whatever you want to do, you wouldn't believe what a high barrier to entry that is. Because loads of people think, oh, God, that's a lot of effort. Oh, when am I going to do that? Oh, I'll do that tonight. No, in fact, I haven't got time, but you've got time to, binge Netflix for 4 hours. So doing something that your competitors aren't prepared to do, or pay someone else to do it for you. Either way, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, for sure. So another shameless plug. If you're struggling to make an impact, or you want to know how to make an impact, what do you need to do?
Oh, I don't know, John, really. What you need to do, visit codebreak.co.uk and apply for a discovery call. A chat with Joel and I to find out what makes your business tick, what your business goals are, and whether we're a good fit to help you or not.
Nice.
Oh, almost scripted that, Joel.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was professional. Well done.
So do you think it's possible that the next podcast we record could be in the office? I know you keep talking about it because we're recording this on the 2nd of March, and there is a roadmap to getting out of all this nastiness, and it's exciting. There's a good vibe in the air at the moment, because it's, some people have been overly positive, some people have been obviously hugely deflated by it all. We're probably somewhere in the middle. We're maybe realistic optimists. Is that a good phrase?
Yeah, I'm optimistic and knackered. Yeah.
Yeah, it never works so many hours. It's but at least what I like with the days getting longer now, you can get up a bit early, because I like sort of exercising or walking the dogs in the morning, and it's pretty hard to get motivated when you're trudging through a field in the pitch dark. So I love it when springtime's coming. Love it.
Yeah, there's been some stunning sunrises as well recently. It does help.
Stuff to look forward to, and there is an opportunity. You'll get lots of people saying, oh, whenever the shit hits the fan, there's always an opportunity. What pandemic? My business has never been so good. All that kind of bullshit. It's like, no, there will be an opportunity somewhere. If you're struggling, just remember there is still money in the economy. It's moving around a lot slower than it was, but it's still there. We've just got to work harder and smarter to get hold of it.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, it's goodbye from me and Andy, and we'll catch you again for another episode. Stay hungry. Take care, everyone.